Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome back to another Dansky Live. Before we get started, I've switched over from the Mac Mini to the MacBook Pro, so I've reconnected the whole setup. So I know I always say this, but just let me know if the audio sounds good. Hopefully it's nice and crispy. Hopefully everything works. So if anything isn't working or the audio's off or the screen's not displaying something correctly, honestly, just let me know. I've switched the whole thing over, and I just feel like there's a setting or something that I've forgotten. So, but hopefully everything goes good. And today we're going to be jumping into Photoshop and Illustrator and reviewing some of your work that you very kindly submitted. And we've got a lot of logos today, and everything that everyone submitted since about last week or the week before has been absolutely fantastic. We've got such good work, and so these streams, they were already exciting, but this is going to be a good one, and next week's going to be a good one as well. Fantastic. Hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Rebecca, it's nice to meet you. I feel like at this point we should be on a first name basis, definitely. The audio is good. Excellent. Excellent. We are good. Right. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say, but I've completely forgotten it if I had. Anyway, let's rock and roll. Right. First up. I don't know if I've reviewed this one already. So if we have done this in an earlier stream, please let me know. But we've never done it with this particular colorway. And I've seen this submission come through a few times, and I just don't know if we've actually reviewed it yet. Our submission's still locked down. Jesus, Michael, too soon, mate. I'm afraid submissions are currently locked down at the moment. Oh, trigger word there. Yeah, no. I think it's going to work better this way. I'm going to open them up for the space of about a week or so. And everyone can kind of submit a bunch of their work, and then I close them, and it just gives me I've got 3 or 4 weeks worth of stuff to review, and it just means that most of those submissions will get reviewed. So I think it'll work a bit. Sorry. Catching up and having something brewing. Oh, lovely. What is it? A nice cup of tea or a coffee? Thank you for staying on schedule with all your reviews. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I am here to help. As they say in John Wick, I will serve and be of service. Ha! Right. So, I'm going to assume that we haven't done this one yet, even though I feel like I've seen it with a different colorway before. Aurora. Now, if I had to guess, this would be some kind of travel logo, but of course I'm just guessing here. We've got the plane in the O. And this is by Mauno, who I believe has submitted some other work in the past. I like this. Yeah, this is really cool. And I don't know if this is an actual font or if this is a custom font. Not entirely sure. A couple of things are standing out to me off the bat. And that is the spacing here between the dotted line is inconsistent. Again, it's super minor. I am a nitpicky, attention to detail, eyeballing kind of designer. This stuff just stands out to me for whatever reason. So the spacing, actually, it's not too bad, but this first one here is just a bit inconsistent. So most people wouldn't notice that, but it's just a tiny little detail that could very easily be tightened up. Yeah, the corners. Let's have a look. I don't know. What do you guys think to this? You see we've got this corner here, corner radius. These two are the same. This one kind of feels a bit bigger. This one feels a lot bigger here. And this one feels a little bit smaller. So there feels like a bit of an inconsistency in the corner radius here. And I don't know. Maybe that's not an issue. But one thing or one time that this can occur is if you take a letter like this one. You can see these corners here. They would be. You can create these with straight shapes. So just get the pen tool, draw straight lines. If you round off the corners of them, they're all going to be the same radius because they're all just straight vertical or horizontal lines. When you do curves like this, so here we have a curve meeting a flat line, we have another curve meeting a flat line, but this curve is of course at a different angle to this one. This is a very kind of acute, sharp curve here. This one is less so. If you draw these shapes and you try and round off both of these corner radiuses at the same time, they will not look the same because of the way that the corners are. I hope this is making sense. Let's get the red out. Let's get the red out. Oh, not that. That's no good. You can't mark anything up with a giant grunge brush. All right, let's get a nice... I'll try and explain this a bit better. And this is why it's always careful. If you want to kind of live a little bit dangerously and try and bulk round off corners of your font to make it look a little bit less squared off, you can do, but just be mindful of this. So the angle here on, if this was like a squared off corner like the others, 90 degrees, if I were to click and drag, it would round it off consistently, and it might end up with a radius of, I don't know, 12. This one here, this angle, is less than 90 degrees. Let's say that's what, 60 degrees, something like that. If I then round off by 12 again, the same value as when it was kind of a right angle like that, it's going to round it off a lot more because it's a more acute angle. This one down here is actually larger than 90 degrees. It's probably like, what, 100, 110, something like that. And that's why you can see here it's not rounding it off as much. So hopefully I explained that sort of well. And the reason I say that is because, if I were to just take a letter that has straight lines, curved lines, really sharp curved lines, and just round it off in one go, those corner radiuses, or radii, however you say it, they will inevitably end up different. So sometimes it's a good idea to round off the corners of a letter individually, and you might have to eyeball it as well. So hopefully that waffle made sense. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome. Quinton, welcome back. Thomas, where to submit my artwork? Submissions are closed at the moment, but I'll open them up again in 2 or 3 weeks, and then everyone can submit more stuff. Oh, looks Brazilian. I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if this person who submitted it's Brazilian. I've got no idea. But yeah, the yellow and the green. I quite like that color combination. I feel like it's a bit less common seeing green and yellow in such a contrasting way. Obviously like a light green and a yellow, they're very kind of close, so you don't see it too often in logos. But yeah, I quite like this, the dark green and the yellow. It's really nice, actually. So anyway, that was corner radius. I kind of got lost on a tangent about corner radiuses there. But yeah, I don't know if this is a font or they've created this from scratch. Either way, it looks really, really good. Yes, cool art with that curve. The only other thing that stood out to me, again, coming back to corners, such a nerd, is the corners here. The corners on this kind of part of the logo feel a lot more rounded. And I feel like if these corners were a bit less rounded, it would sit more consistently with the rest of the logo and the lettering. But also, if they were less rounded, it would just give that plane. This is clearly an aeroplane. But I feel like if they weren't so rounded, it would give that aeroplane iconography just a bit more clarity. And you would be able to see it's an aeroplane just a little bit clearer if they weren't as rounded. If that makes sense. It just feels a little bit too rounded, but again, that is me nitpicking. And this is, I'm guessing, something about travel. You got the A, ... to, yeah, it's nice. It's a really good logo. And that would work on a website as well. And you could have that pretty small, I think, and get away with it. And then you've got this as kind of a mark. You could use this for favicons on a website. You could use it for an app icon if there was one. Yeah, it's good. And it works in black and white. So you could do a clear black and white print of this. But yeah, it's a solid entry. I like it. Really good. New to the channel, but it would be so cool to see you critique and then show how to fix it. Yeah, I quite like doing that as well. So sometimes I get a little bit carried away, but when people submit PSDs and vector files, I can open them up and have a play. And I think I've got a few vector ones here. So I might be able to open them up and have a tinker. Or if I can't, I'll get the red out. I'll get the red pen out and have a scribble on it. Dansky, what's up, buddy? Hey, Ali, welcome. Nice work. The Aurora logo looks great. Right, next, what have we got? Okay, this one is by Arthur. Now, I've got someone on my masterclass course called Arthur, and I've sent him a message. I don't know if this is the same person. I think it might be because I only know one person called Arthur in my life. So I've sent him a message just to check. There's a couple of fonts here. A couple of fonts that are missing, but it's not the end of the world. We're just going to go up here and focus on the logo itself. Complete visual brand strategy for Vivanum. No idea how you say it. I'm going to go with Vivanum. Is a reputable company specializing in the production of dietary supplements with a commitment to promoting overall well-being. Vivanum formulates high-quality supplements designed to support a healthy lifestyle. Okay. Task. The task was to develop a modern brand style, stand out from the competition, and increase customer loyalty to the product. I mean, as a mark, yeah, this looks kind of cool. I mean, yeah, straight off the bat, it kind of feels like to me, just off the bat, it feels like a leaf, like a stem with a leaf, and you have kind of nature or natural elements, and then you have the lines that are the supplemental products. Yeah, it's weird. Kind of, I wouldn't say it feels techy, but there's something about it. Yeah, you've got lots of curves on organic shapes, and then you've got the kind of straight lines. Interesting. Okay, here we go. When creating the logo, I focused on the needs of customers who primarily demand high-quality products with natural ingredients. Therefore, the logo is based on a plant icon. Okay, makes sense. Ooh, these are always nice to see as well. Nice to see. Attention to detail. Nice. Very good. Plant icon. Yeah, cool. Symbol and typography. Okay, so we've got the color palette. Brand patterns. Again, very good if you can take elements of your logo or your branding and then kind of work that into a pattern. Yeah. It's not my favorite pattern I've ever seen, but I think, this kind of thing can be very useful subtly as a watermark, whether it's on a business card or some printed material. And it can just sometimes add a bit more visual interest rather than everything just kind of being a block color, for example. Rules of logo use. Ooh, I've got some rules. Okay. So these are good. These are bad. Got the old black and white one there as well, which is good. So the logo or the mark works as a solid color. Looks great as an app icon for sure. Different sizes. The execution. Oh, this is nice. Okay, this is cool. And this is the kind of thing that's really cool for a client to see as well when you're pitching them a logo design. Very, very different just looking at a logo on a screen with a solid background color versus seeing it actually mocked up and as a sticker. That is a nice looking sticker mock-up as well. I like that. Very nice. That's really good, actually. It looks like it's peeling off the page. Okay. Yeah, so we've got the home page there. Sticker. Oh, I really want to mock up that sticker in Photoshop. I want to like make a version of that in Photoshop. That looks really nice. I'm going to come back to you, sticker. Web and app icon. Okay, we've got a phone mock-up. Oh, it would have been nice to see the app icon on the phone. Oh, it is. I'm an idiot. There it's right at the top. Oh, God. What are you doing, Dan? Go back to bed, plonker. Right, we've got Apple Watch as well. Yeah, that looks smart. I love that. I really, really love that. Got supplement packaging as well. Oh, I wonder what vitamin C was then. It's obviously a different language. Vitamin C. Yeah, that's so smart. Very nice packaging design as well. Black. Very pretty, very high-end and premium looking. But it's great to see how the logo as well. You know, here you've got the mark on its own. You've got the logo kind of stacked on top of the mark. Sorry, no. The mark on top of the logo type, so they kind of pair nicely. You've got them alongside each other, which is probably how you'd see it on a website as well. And it maintains that sort of consistency with the brand, but the logo can flex depending on how it needs to be used, which is another really important consideration when designing them. Leaves within leaves. Leaveception. Exactly. Rebecca says, looks very healthy. It does indeed. Oh, thanks for watching. And then this is presumably a box mock-up. Kind of makes me think of a perfume, actually. But forget that. You can see what I meant about the watermark here. It can be used on packaging as well. And it's just a subtle detail. It just gives you more to work with as a designer, but also as a brand. Just... you know, and it's cool. You got the top is a solid color, and then the sides are just visually much more interesting to look at. Mike Phelps, love this logo on black and using the different colors for different uses products. The teal gradient doesn't feel as powerful for some reason. Okay, interesting. I think you've got to consider the gradient as well for print. It's not that you can't print gradients, but if you're gonna dabble with printing gradients, just make sure you see a proof of the print before it goes for the final run, just so you can check it looks good. Because depending on who's printing it and how they're printing it, gradients can end up looking a little bit kind of, you get this banding where you can see between each of the different colors and it doesn't look great. You want it to be kind of smooth. Sarah says the green tone is beautiful. Ooh, controversial green. Okay. Oh, Popinda just got to pick Leo up. Leo's my son. He's at football. Okay. Yeah, I absolutely love this. It's nice seeing the kind of the thought process as well. From the idea to the typography. I mean, there isn't actually anything about the typography. I mean, there isn't kind of like, you know, names of this is what the font is or anything. But this is focusing on the text part of the design. Color palette, brand patterns. Yeah, no, it's cool. Really, really cool. And it ticks all the boxes. It does everything a logo needs to do. You know, it can work at an app icon, work at different sizes. It works in one color. It works in full color. It works on a website. You can stack the text. You can have it alongside. It's you know, it ticks all the boxes. And it's a really nice presentation as well, especially this bit down here. I do love this bit. Yeah, the use of gradients as well, and the products feel like especially in this section, they feel like they're jumping out at me. Which, when you're looking at this on a screen, or if it was on a website, for example, it just looks really, really cool. Yeah, gives the whole design a bit more depth as well, which is actually a video that I'm working on at the moment about adding depth to your designs. Very cool. Nice. Boom. Quinton also likes the green. Interesting. Okay. Right. Next up, let's switch gear. What is it they say? Let's switch gears and do something a bit more illustrative. So first off, I love this illustration. This illustration on the left is wicked. So sick. I love it. It's just amazing. Some kind of like terrifyingly evil demon goblin or something. Oh, there we go. Goblin. And this is by Ayush Karki. And it looks wicked. Oh, okay, Mike likes the dark green, but just the gradient to the teal takes it away from me. I didn't like the gradient on the text on the previous one. I thought it worked better in block color. I think gradients on thin text is not something I would typically do, and it did kind of... I wasn't a massive fan of it on the text, but not enough to be to point it out. It was fine. More along the lines of my goals. This is fantastic. Yeah, this is so cool. And this is one thing that I love as well. I love when artists kind of mix these different mediums together. So they've clearly drawn this pencil and paper, and they've scanned it in and then gone to town with it on Photoshop. I love this kind of approach. The thing that really stands out to me here is the version on the right is cool, but I actually prefer the version on the left. And I think the reason why I'm not crazy about the version on the right is that this illustration here is so good. I think the version on the right feels very flat. So the first thing I look at is the green texture. You know, there's the texture is kind of flat, sort of plonked on. You can see down here they've sort of gone around the some of those very, very small details and the kind of sort of shading. And it feels flat. There's no like sort of depth. There's no shadows and highlights to give the structure of the face some more contouring. And the glow on the eye looks wicked. But again, here, like the red, it just sort of feels flat. And I think typically, well, you can add this texture to this, but what you typically do is you could use like liquefy, and you could kind of push it and warp it to fit the contours of the face and like the jawline and everything. And it just makes it feel like it has more depth rather than creating this illustration and then having a 2D texture on it just looking flat. Yeah. And I think it looks cool with the cinders and everything. I'm not crazy about the smoke down here. Yeah, I don't know. I think, and this is something actually I really want to do. So, you know, at the risk of giving myself more work to do, I would love to take this illustration that is beyond anything I would ever be able to create. And I would love to start by, I'm not going to do it here because it will just look awful. But what I would do is I would love to do this and just shade the whole thing in with a base color all over, just a flat color, just like that. And then what I would do is I would go in and I would add shadows. So you can see that with a lot of this cross-hatching is representative of shadows, so that makes my life easier. So then I would go in and add the shadows with a darker color, add loads of shadows. Then I would figure out where my light source is going to be. So let's say it might be coming from up here. Then I would go and add a bunch of highlights. In fact, I would love to do this. And I would add the highlights. So base color, shadows, highlights. That in itself would look awesome. It would give the whole thing much more depth. Then I could go through and add in kind of the colors for the teeth and the mouth. Again, the inside of the mouth is going to be a lot darker around here because it's further away from the light source. The light source would be kind of coming in from here. And I think just by adding the base color, shadows, and highlights, it would look awesome. It would look so cool. Then once you've done that, that's when you can start adding in more texture. That's how I would approach it. So I would add in the texture on top of the shading, blend it through with a blending mode, but then also warp it to fit the contours of the face. So this same green texture here. Then once I've done that, then I would add the glow to the eye. And yeah, not sure what you do. It depends what you do with the background. You could, I mean, this background here is quite, it's not really very clear what it is. So you could have like a blurry background and then you can add the cinders. So the cinders, the VFX, all that kind of stuff. Like I typically try and add that at the end of the process to kind of enhance what I've already done. And one thing that I used to do, which is a mistake I always made, was I tried to make my design look better in the earlier phases of the design by using blending modes and that sort of more visual effects. And actually, I missed the fundamentals, which was getting the lighting right, balancing the colors, you know, all the kind of the fundamentals, the stuff you should be doing first. I didn't do. And then I got crazy creative with blending modes, and then inevitably it didn't look great in the end. But also when it came to make changes, I hadn't taken care of the fundamentals, so it caused me a headache trying to fix things because I'd layered up all these effects with blending modes. And when I switched that up and started doing the fundamentals first, it got so much better. My work improved exponentially very quickly after that. So yeah, this looks really cool, but I would love to see this with some shading and build on top of this. In fact, I can kind of picture it. I can actually sort of picture how I would probably approach this. So I don't know. Maybe if I get some time and Ayush doesn't mind, I could have a go at this, because that would be a lot of fun. Dilshin says, wicked line work. Yeah, indeed. The ink illustration is great. He looks like one of the Mortal Kombat characters. I can't remember the name. Baraka. The guy with the razors. That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It looks absolutely Baraka. Mortal Kombat. Not the president. Yeah, this fella. Yeah, I wonder if that was the inspiration, actually. Kind of Goblin Baraka. Quinton says, could it be Baraka? Yes. The colours would look amazing if kept simpler. The hatching does all the work for tone. Why does work always interfere with this creative fun time? I know. Ugh, work, hey? And Heil. Hey, Tomei, welcome. Right. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, that's my thoughts. I love it. I think it looks really cool. I would just love to see a version that kind of focuses on the fundamentals first and then layers in the Photoshop VFX to enhance what's already there and just kind of keep it looking a bit less flat. But yeah, really, really cool. And I love that kind of stuff. I wish I could draw like that, but I can't, and I don't do it. So therefore, I probably don't enjoy it enough to want to learn. I'm definitely more of a kind of Photoshop Illustrator kind of digital bean as opposed to a traditional artist, if you like. Right, next up, we've got can't speak. Lots of logos. Missing fonts, right. So we've got original logos, and the remakes. So these are whoa. That's not the Tesla font, is it? That isn't the font. I'm pretty sure that's not the font. No, I don't think it is. Baraka wins. Fatality. Sharif, hello, welcome back. Did I miss the submission period? Was trying to get an AI file organized for a review. At the moment, yeah, but don't worry, they'll be opening up again in like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, because I got loads to get through. So these are all the original logos, and these are the redesigns. And okay, so first off, I like the Xbox one more than the actual Xbox logo. I know with the gradient and things, it wouldn't work as black and white as well, but I love the depth and everything. It just looks really, really cool. I don't know if it technically makes sense because the part up here would be lighter and the part down there would be darker, but it does contrast really nicely. So just looking at it, I'm like, this is pleasing to my eyes. You know, I could critique the technicalities of it, but it's just nice to look at. Also, I appreciate the attempt at a black and white BMW logo because I've never liked the BMW logo. I think it's just a bit rubbish, and I don't like the blue either. It's like no. Keep your colours out of your car logos because my car might be a different colour and it might clash with the blue logo. I know, minor, very petty, but you know, I am who I am. So yeah, and actually the Xbox logo, I've never liked the Xbox logo. I feel like that could be a really cool X logo on a circle. But as it stands, the X doesn't actually continue. I would love to see the X continue, and it doesn't. It kind of goes in here, and the curve is like straight here, pretty straight here, and then it curves hard there. Same with this one. It's like, and then it curves. And it's the kind of thing that I would pick up in these design reviews and say these curves need to be just a lot nicer and a bit more gradual and consistent. And to me, it doesn't look like an X on a circle, like a sphere. It kind of reminds me of a jacket potato. You know when you have a jacket potato and you kind of cut, do you do that? Do you cut across into it and then you put your butter in the middle? That's what I see when I look at that. I just think of potato. So yeah, I've never liked that one. So seeing this kind of, this really cool gradient treatment just makes me focus less on the potato aspect of that logo and more on, oh, this is kind of cool. Also, this top part here is totally different. It's literally like a kind of towering, looks like a towering piece of a level or something, or I don't know. But yeah, anyway, so Target, yeah, I appreciate the attempt here. I like that kind of, it's a Target and things, but it's now too complicated. Target's logo actually works. It's super simple. But this is like a really good exercise in creativity, and it's the kind of thing, look at this Tesla one. Like the detail that's been added to here, it just wouldn't ever really work for a logo. But my goodness, what a cool illustration. Kind of integrating the Tesla into the T. I really appreciate the attempt here. Yeah, like some of the curves and things I would probably take out and the white stroke, but it's cool to see that merging of the logo with a car. Yeah, this one again, you know, it's very creative. But yeah, I think as a logo, I don't think that would work as a logo, you know. But you know, it's a good exercise in creativity, and hey, sometimes it's fun just to take existing logos and redesign them. I've done it before. I still do it all the time. And sometimes not everything I make is practical. It's it's fun and it's creative. And if you're looking at something like this, you know, it verges actually more on illustration. It kind of takes a simple logo and actually expands on it. And like I say, makes it much more illustrative. Mike says none of the fonts are the originals. It seems. Yeah, I did think that. I didn't think that was the Tesla logo. But yeah, it's really interesting to see someone's take on logos. I mean, that would be a really cool idea actually for a competition or something. I've got a few ideas for competitions, but that would be a really interesting one. It would be to take a simple logo and actually expand on it and make it more illustrative. Ian, hello. Emma Reed says hot cross bun. Yeah, potato or hot cross bun. Take your pick. Neither of which should be green. Some might say that playing games on a console is like playing on a potato. Quentin, I don't even know what to say to that. Playing on a potato. Now every time I see the 360, I'm going to think potato. Yeah, you're welcome. When I look at the letter T, I see the front of the car. Yeah, it's cool. I do like Tesla's normal logo. That is a pretty sick logo. There's a lot of car logos I don't actually like. I'm not a big fan of them. I think some of them are just a bit boring and a bit rubbish, but that does look very cool. The colours of the inner circle of the BMW badge display the state colours of the state of Bavaria. Oh, is that true? I didn't even know that. I mean, I still don't like it. It doesn't change anything for me, but if that's where they're from and that's the colours of their state, I just have to shut up and respect it, even if I don't like the blue. Yes, let's see if we can take a known logo and improve it. Ridwan, hello. Hello. Right, okay. I was going to say let's move on to something different than logos, but I think the other ones today are logos. So we've got more logos coming up. Okie dokie. Right. What am I doing? Okay. Sorry, I got distracted then. Someone sending me a message. I was like, my brain shut down. What about the Target logo? I thought it was cool. Yes, I think it was cool, but I don't think it works. I guess I'm looking at it compared to the original. I don't think it does a better job than the current Target logo, which is, you know, simple, arguably boring, but it works. It's red. It looks like a Target. You know, it's recognizable. Give the new Kia logo a review. It really needs a rethink. Oh, I've got to check this out. Okay, the Kia logo. Oh no, I'll tell you a car logo I absolutely hated. What was it? Oh, what's that? Began with S. It's a car brand that began with S. I will find it. What was it? I did some design work for one of their showrooms years ago. was it? Is it Skoda? Might be Skoda. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yuck. And again, I don't know if maybe this logo has some significance or something cultural related to where it's from or whatever. And this is a better version of it. Like back in the day, it used to be this one. I used to hate that. I used to just look at that like, what am I looking at? Is that it? Like, no, I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, I did some design work for that, and it was tough using that logo. Very tough. Okay, what do we got? Kia. What logo? So I'm guessing this is the new one. Is that the one that you're not a fan of, Quinton? Suzuki. No, I don't think it was Suzuki. I think it was Skoda. They designed their logo a while back, and it looks like KN now. Yeah. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this logo. Stylistically, I know this isn't what we're supposed to be doing, but, you know, Quinton, you distracted me, so we're going to go with it. Stylistically, I love this logo, the KIA. I absolutely love the style of it, the way it's done, the angles, all that kind of stuff is right up my street. But I will totally agree and concede, yeah, that the execution, I don't know, yeah. Don't know if it's quite there. It looks like a backwards N, if anything. And, you know, I think the fact that the logo would probably appear on the cars as a badge, I don't know, actually. Yeah, it's a weird one. If you showed that to a whole bunch of people who, and just said to them, you know, what does that say? Can you read that? I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because, like, sometimes a logo doesn't need to specifically spell out exactly what it does, but if you're going to use letters and it's going to be the brand name, then it should, I think, be recognizable that they can read the brand's name. Do you know what I mean? The new Kia one is confusing. Yeah. So as much as it ticks a lot of my design boxes personally, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can... Oh, go away. But you can see here the same thing I was talking about at the very beginning. I'm glad you mentioned this, actually, Quinton. You see this here? We've got a really big curve, a really tiny curve, sort of medium curve, and then a really tiny curve here as well. Like, so I feel like the use of curves... I don't know if it's a problem or not, but it just stands out to me and looks a bit odd. And I feel like a little bit more consistency with how those curves are treated would not change everything that we're talking about. It wouldn't make it more legible, but it's just, again, it's that detail that I mentioned earlier popping up. And I don't know, feels like some of those curves are somewhat inconsistent. Right, let's close that down. There we go. Especially really small on the front of the car. Yeah. It's one of those common mistakes beginner designers make kind of logos. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's just looking at it, it's kind of like... I mean, you know, if I was designing that, it would be like, can people read this? You know, it needs to... Could we design it with these letters in this style, but in a way that it's more legible? So I don't know. Maybe it's one of those logos that needed just a bit more time in the oven. And I don't know. Yeah. Right, this one here, Abby's Home, by Kalule Swaibu. I'm not entirely sure what it's for, but something to do with home cooking, maybe, with the chef's hat. This is an interesting one. There's a lot of things in this logo that technically I should not like, but actually I really like it. And I don't know if that's because of the way it's presented on a dark background. Normally I wouldn't be a fan of the kind of beveling in a logo, but I think in this example it actually really looks quite nice. The treatment of it, and it just makes the whole thing feel a bit more 3D and lifts it off the background. And I like the way you got that kind of house poking out of these circles, and it's sort of cut away. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the chef's hat floating here. And down here, my first kind of instinct would be to say, well, this is way too tight. You know, we need to do something here. Maybe shift all this up a little bit so the roof is a bit higher. We can still do the clever Y cutaway thing if we need to. Maybe we don't need to. Maybe actually we don't, and it can just kind of come up here, but we definitely need some more breathing space around here. And this S looks like it doesn't want to be there. The S is trying to get away from everyone else. So the kerning on the letters is off. But generally, just looking at it like this, I know this isn't in context. This wouldn't work on a website at all. But I don't know what it is, yeah. With that dark, grainy background, there's just something about it that does look appealing. Even though there's technically elements of it, like the Abby's font, I don't like. Some of these letters here look like ordinary kind of sans serif letters, and then some of the B's have got serifs on and some weird connecting part here, whereas these letters don't have serifs on. So there's elements that I shouldn't like technically, but it does really stand out to me on this background. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what you think. Makes me want to know the why behind so many things in that Kia logo. Is it supposed to be like a windshield with how the lines are thicker in the middle? Oh, maybe, I don't know. New designer here. Why do they need to be consistent? I'm guessing you meant the curves from before on the Kia logo. I think that's the thing. I couldn't definitively tell you if they need to be consistent, but it's something that just stands out to me. When you've got like a really small radius on a corner, then a bigger one, then you've got a really big one. It's just one of those things that I look at and go, the design's cool, but would the design still work and look good if all of these curves were just a bit more consistent? So on some of the other logos that I reviewed in the past, you might have lots of square edges, and then you'll have on the letters, and then you'll have some randomly round edges, and then you'll have some edges that are even more round than those edges, and it's all of these different stylistic elements all in the same logo can make parts of the logo feel a bit disjointed, like the one at the beginning, the Aurora logo. The whole thing the lettering was pretty close, to be fair, but then you had the aeroplane bit that had lots of rounded curves, more so than the lettering. And it's not saying like that is wrong, but it's kind of like, okay, but if you kept the consistency of the curvature between the letters and that aeroplane icon as well, would it just all kind of hang together a little bit better? So it's, I couldn't say definitively it's right or wrong, but it's the kind of thing that, at least that's what my brain would say. Try a version where we do make the curves consistent. It might not work, but it might. In fact, it's the kind of thing I want to sort of go and play around with off stream now. What do you think about the Google and the Microsoft logo? I mean, Microsoft's logo, I don't even know what it is anymore. It keeps changing, but it's basically always going to be... Oh no, I suppose they have the written version. I just think of the Windows logo. That's obviously the 4 colored squares. I think they're fine. Yeah, I don't really have too much of an opinion on them. I think, you know, they're clean, they're simple. I don't hate them. I think, you know, there's a lot of company logos that I would look at and go, ugh, that's a bit yuck. But I don't look at any of those logos and think that. And I think, as you know, especially with Google, you know, they're a big company, widely recognizable. I think you can get away with something very simple, especially when your company's that kind of size, you know. It's kind of like just keep it simple. We'll have the word Google written in a sans serif font. We'll make it in-house. Just don't screw it up, and that's the logo. There we go, we're good. The window looks kind of out of place. Are you welcome, Emma? No worries. Yeah, it's a weird one. There's lots of little things. This is the kind of logo that I would like to have a crack at myself, because there's things in it I shouldn't like that I do quite like, with the beveling and things. I love the cutaway. But then, you know, the text and the S, it all looks off-center. The breathing space is off. The whole thing feels too tight. And the chef hat on the side, I don't know if that's trying to cram too much in. I don't know the context behind the business. But it makes me wonder if there's a way of getting this kind of, whatever it is, kitchen cooking element in the design without that chef's hat being on the wonk. So I don't know. But it looks pleasing to my eyes. That's the best way I can word it. And I like logos like this. It's a weird one because I've got my kind of my style. You know, I've got my own biases towards a certain type of logo. And I like it when there are elements that I shouldn't like, but actually what I'm seeing, from a technical point of view, but what I'm seeing is like, this is pleasing to my eye. Boy, have we gone off topic. Hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. If you didn't do it, Quentin, I would. I didn't know you review your subscribers' artworks. Now I know. Maybe next time I would make an entry. Hope you would like my work. Yeah, go for it. I'll open up submissions again in 2 to 3 weeks. So just keep an eye out on the channel community page, because I'll post when it's open and with a link to submit your work. And hey, you know, whether I like people's work or not is irrelevant. I'm just one guy with his own personal biases towards certain styles. The whole point of these streams is just to give my 2 cents, and that's all it is. It's just one person's opinion, and just, I guess, let you into my mind a little bit and kind of look at what kind of lens I look at work through. And ultimately the goal is to be helpful. So I try and be as helpful as possible with these streams. But at the same time, I'll always be honest. So yeah. What if the top of the circle wasn't there? Yeah, maybe. Actually, yeah. How would it look? Yeah, if you kind of removed the whole top circle, removed... Oh, I'm not in the... Oh, hang on a second. I've got an idea. Let's open this up in the beta of Photoshop, and I'll try and use the generative fill to remove it. Let's give this a go. So we'll just make a selection. We'll remove the hat thing as well. Oh god, I'm doing this with a trackpad. Oh no, I've run out of trackpad. Hang on. There we go. Switch to the other finger. There we go. Where's my, oh, it's down there. Hang on. Let me bring my taskbar back up. Go on, get in there. Let's see if we can just remove that in one fell swoop. I don't know if it's going to work. Does anyone else have a brand or packaging that you appreciate the work and thought that went into it, such as the style of the brand's logo or clever way instructions are placed on the packaging? That's a good question. There is a chimney there already. What is the chef's cap doing? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have any more context behind this logo, but it kind of makes me think of home cooking of some kind. I mean, oh, hang on. That's pretty close. Hey, look at that. AI to the rescue. Nice. I mean, it's terrible, but it's, you know, it got rid of the details enough that I can at least see it. That's a good use for AI now. Boom. Yeah, so I think, yeah, really good shout, actually, because the thing is, when you kind of introduce this circle, to me, I'm looking at this S and this apostrophe, and I'm like, where is this going? Like, this fella, he's off, he's out of there. Do you know what I mean? As soon as we kind of take away the circle, that S is still under the roof of the house, so he can get away with just shifting over to the right a bit. I still think he needs to come back, you know, come back a little bit into the fold. He's a bit too far away, and the kerning's a bit off. But it's interesting, isn't it, when you actually look at the logo and think, maybe we could actually take stuff away and make it simpler. So yeah, that was a really good suggestion, Quinton. I like that. Here comes the generative madness. Yes. Okay. We're going to add a chef hat. This is it now. The stream has peaked. It's all generatively downhill from here. Yes. There we go. Love it. Excellent. And I like the fact it's kind of got the depth and the shadows and that, as well as the same kind of bevel effect on the logo. There we go. Job done. Here come the kittens. You asked for this, Quinton. Directly adding windows and roofs is a cliche and shows the amateur level of designing. I wouldn't say adding windows and roofs is generally cliche, but it depends. Without more context behind what the brand is, it's difficult to really understand. Like, yeah, you know, it's one of those things that with a logo, yes, you can incorporate what the brand does into the logo, but it's not like a logo is more than just, oh, this person does cooking, so we'll use a picture of a spatula. You know, a logo needs to appeal to the target audience. It doesn't just have to be a literal representation. But I think without, you know, it's quite common as well to have the word home in a logo and see a house of some description. And I think it can work, but it's difficult to kind of really go much beyond that without more context behind what the design is. Because the chef's hat does feel a bit out of place, but I don't know if that is part of what this brand or company does. So it's kind of difficult to sort of make a call on it, really. Without the chef's hat, looks like an elder's home, maybe. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can sort of see that. I once heard a quote that went something like, a good designer knows when to stop adding things. A great designer knows when to stop taking things away. Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. I don't know who said it, but that's a very good point. Enricazo says, the simpler, the more scalability it will have. Exactly. In fact, that's a really simple way to think about it. I like that. Whether you're scaling it up or scaling it down as well. Chef Dansky and his menu are on today's menu. Photoshop plenty of sauce. Why is this beveled? Yeah, normally that would be my first question. Like, don't bevel it, keep it simple. And yeah, you could have a simple version, and you could have a version that has a bit more kind of, I guess you could say, 3D-ness to it. And normally I wouldn't like that bevel. I'd be like, get it out. But there's something weirdly appealing about it. Maybe on a white background it wouldn't work so well, but with it mocked up on this kind of dark background, it lifts off quite nicely. I think there's some shadows underneath as well. But yeah, normally like have your non-beveled version as well, I would say. I just want to try something as well. Just while we're here, look, I've got to be honest. I've been having a lot of fun playing around with generative fill. I made a space alien snail the other day. That's like a different one from the stream. You might see me post it to the channel, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to try typing in Dansky and see what comes back. I'm a very curious person. Oh, what? Come on. I'm a very curious person, so this kind of not knowing what it's going to generate really kind of does tick the box for me. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Let's type ginger bearded man. Hey, it's Dansky. What? I like this fella. Right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go full designer here. What am I doing? I've got no idea what's happening. Hey. Oh, Dan, you idiot. I mean, technically, you know, this doesn't really look like an abbey or how I would perceive an abbey, but you know, hey ho, it's 2023. I guess anything's possible these days. So no, I'll leave that there. I'll stop clowning around. I just oh, they just look so happy. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Oh dear. Right, let's close that down. Let's get normal Photoshop back up. Oh, good fun. I do like it. It's definitely a giggle. Like I said before, generative fill works brilliantly or terribly. It goes one way or the other. But either way is a lot of fun. Yeah, it depends. I think you know, when people submit their work, if you want to add a bit more context as to what the brand is, or just a bit more of an explanation, then you know that's great. This just gives me more to kind of it helps me have a more accurate perspective to critique the work. Otherwise, I'm coming in just neutral, and you know, my feedback will only be so accurate. Oops, what am I doing? Let's open you up. I drive past this gym every day to and from work, and I feel that their current logo is difficult to read from a distance and could use some work. Their street-facing sign is especially hard to read. Right. Well, I think I feel that their current logo is difficult to read. I think that's very, very polite. I think another way of framing it is the logo is awful. Like, it's not a good logo, in my opinion. The font, the execution. I do like the flamey, fiery bit. That looks cool. But the typography is just terrible. Yeah. Not the kind of font that I think I would personally typically associate with a gym. I mean, we've got two different logos here as well. We've got one with the flame on top of the T. We've got one with the flame on the I. This one here looks like it's not only a bad font choice, but it's got that dreaded white stroke. You remember from the previous streams, I've got me and white strokes on the outside, we got a bit of beef. And It's pixelated, but I don't think I would like it if I could really see it. And I think that's the kind of logo I would drive past and feel slightly triggered by. So we're going to look at Kyle's redesign over here. And I had a quick look at this earlier. In terms of this kind of symbol, I love this. And straight off the bat, it's better. In every way, it's better than this. I do like the fire and the kettlebell weight inside. Let's zoom in. Curves are nice. You can see here we've got a nice bit of consistency with those corner radiuses. They're the same there. I think you can get away with this one being larger because the flame, this is clearly a flame and the flame is larger. So I don't know. I feel like it's not really standing out to me. Yeah, and it kind of tucks in nicely here. Nice and symmetrical. Yeah, these feel consistent. It gets a bit thicker at the top there. So I don't know. I don't think that's too much of an issue though. I think, I think if it was me, I probably would have made the width consistent all the way around. But some kettlebells do, vary in their width in different places. So anyway, that's nitpicking. That is nitpicking. So I do like that, and I think it works really. It would work well as an app, and the colors are good. I'm not sure about the font. I feel a little bit conflicted. Probably more so with the smaller text here. Can I ungroup all of this? I don't know. Yeah, this is a weird one for me. Even when I looked at this earlier briefly, I couldn't figure out how I felt about it. Yeah, Dilshin says the rounded nature of the font doesn't really fit with the sporty fitness vibe. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's kind of it's a very similar font to the letter fridge magnets that you put on the fridge. And at least from my perspective, I don't know if it's kind of the right thing that would appeal to me wanting to go to a gym. Yeah, Mike says, feels like a kids workout zone. Yes, if it was a kids workout zone or a subsection within that gym specifically for kids, 1,000,000%, definitely. But I just feel like, and I think that's to do with a lot of the rounded edges. I think maybe it just needs to be a font that, I don't know, isn't so playful, maybe. You definitely don't want to go with a serif font. And a lot of times, a lot of gyms will use kind of big, bold fonts. I think quite a lot in capitals, actually. Let's see if we can... Let's have a play. I mean, yeah, definitely not this on the left. You could also change the radius of these corners and make this part less playful as well by kind of sharpening it up, but that's neither here nor there. That's just one possible approach. Like I said, great app icon. You could also try making the logo like that, having it knock out. Looks pretty cool as well. Yeah, all right, come on then. Let's grab this logo. And we'll do a copy up here. And I'm going to start with capitals as well. Sometimes I'll look at different fonts in capitals and lowercase. But because it's a gym font, I think I'm looking for something bold. I'm probably going to go with capitals. Just from the off. Even something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Is that an improvement straight off the bat? Just literally using a bolder font like this. Dilshan says the icon looks nice. Quentin says redesigning logos that you spot in the wild is a great exercise for skill improvement. Going to try to do more of this myself. Yes, it is. It's also a lot of fun, just kind of seeing your own take on someone else's logo. Mike says, with the flames and the workout nature, this should be less soft, rounded, playful, but like the idea of the kettlebell flame concept. Yeah, that's clever. That's clever. I like that. And it's a good-looking flame as well. It's a really good-looking flame. Flames can be quite difficult to draw well. I should know I've definitely done a lot of bad flames in my life, and they can be quite fiddly. There is actually a section in... leading into a shameless plug, there is actually a section in my course that will demonstrate how to draw a flame symbol perfectly. But yeah, if you'd like to check out the course, there is a link there. Smooth, Dan, smooth. There's a link to the course, and if you sign up to my mailing list, you get 15% off. That will teach you everything that I know about Illustrator in about 6 hours or so. Lots of grunge for CrossFit gyms. Popinda, very smooth. Yeah. Planet Fitness is more rounded, but they go for the all-inclusive, no-pressure feel as well. Let's have a look at Planet Fitness's logo. Is that the purple and yellow one? Good Lord. Am I looking at the right logo here? Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not feeling that. Yeah. That, yeah. Yeah, it's not the purple and the yellow that I have a problem with. I don't think I really like the logo. I think it's the cog element of it and the grungy thumb up thing. I don't know. Yeah. Not feeling that personally. The quote I mentioned earlier, a designer knows he has achieved perfection, not when there is nothing left to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry? Probably pronounced that wrong. Yeah, that's a really, really good quote to remember. I like that. Too smooth for sports. Yeah, let's play around with a few others then. We'll pin that one there. And sometimes you can use italic fonts that are sort of angled in a direction because it can kind of represent movement. So it can make the font look a bit more dynamic, I guess you could say. Something sporty. Yeah, just caps, big, bold, sporty. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it's that often that I've seen a gym font use all lowercase letters. Now that I'm actually looking at it. No, that's a bit different. Whoops. Where are we going? Where are we going? Yeah, maybe. It doesn't really match the icon. That icon really is kind of asking for a clean, simple font, I think. And I think actually sometimes the simplest answer is the best. Maybe something like that. This doesn't have an italic variant, but maybe we could use the shear tool and just kind of just like this. Whoa. Maybe we could just put a bit of shearing on there. Let's go for plus 11. Oh, I quite like that actually. Yes, I would stand by that and say yes, I think that looks cool. Boom, there we go. Nice. Maybe bring the size down a bit. It kind of stacks, so it can stack or it could sit alongside it. Yeah, something like that. And could you shear this as well? Ooh, no, steady down. You're getting a bit carried away now. You know what you need to do? You need to calm down. Yeah, so we've got ignition. And then what do we got? Fitness and sports. And then I suppose you could have this in the same font underneath. You could leave it out. You could have it in caps. Or we could even space this apart a bit further. Bump up the tracking and do something like this. Nice. That looks good. Like it, Dan. Yeah. I'm feeling that a little bit. What do you reckon? Tomei says, thick capital font version would look better with the flame kettle over the top of it. I was going to suggest italic as well, like the Bash Boxing logo. I could see the flame and sparks curling over this new sheared font. That's a good shout. Yeah, I wonder if... I'm going to knock that out. I know there's yellow below. I'm going to knock it out and we're going to go with this simpler route. I wonder if we could puppet warp this. So let's, where's my puppet warp tool gone? It's under free transform. Stick some pins where I don't want it to move. All right, stay still. Stay still down here. I just want the top to move. Whoa. No. Let's try a different way. I wonder if there's a warp effect. Oh no. Leave that alone. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just trying to have it sort of creeping out. I was trying to be cheeky and use a warp to just kind of get it going where I wanted it to, but I think it would need a bit more consideration. Let's just try the pencil tool actually. Let's just see if I can. Redraw that. Obviously this is quite bad using a trackpad. Or do I shear it first and then redraw it? Oh no. Oh, I've messed the top up. Oh no. What happened? This is so difficult with a trackpad. It's just... Sometimes it doesn't redraw with this tool and sometimes it does, but today it doesn't seem to want to play ball. Yeah, I think the italics kind of works a bit better. Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm looking at this now, and I like where it's going, but I think I'm looking at it and I see this is all italicized and this is just kind of flat. So I feel like maybe there's a way to get a bit more synergy between them. You could remove the italics on this, so we could just go, -11 and put it back, and that's fine. But I do quite like the italics on it, so I think this might just need to... Yeah, I couldn't flip it, could I? No. Yeah, you just need like a flame or something just to kind of fill this space here, just to kind of have it bridging over in some way, just so it feels a bit closer. I don't think you could just rotate it. No, it looks rubbish. Yeah, it's tricky. Let's go and have another copy down here. And so you could say, "I'll make it smaller," but then, you've got 3 different eyes. You can't just kettlebell all of them. That looks awful. And then when you make it smaller, the kettlebell is kind of like at a small size. That detail will get lost. So we need to have a big kettlebell. But yeah, I definitely do like it in this. I do like this one color approach. That's not to say 2 color can't work with the yellow and everything, but it's kind of like, does it need it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think 1 color does look really cool, and it will then work as a black and white print. The icon could probably be made less round edges so it matches the font. Yeah, that's kind of what I was sort of playing around with earlier, because we've got a very hard font over here now. You could kind of change some of these edges. I can't edit them now. I've knocked out the yellow, but yeah, you could sort of square off some of these curves a bit more. Whoa, what have I done there? Ooh, hello. Ooh, can try and... There we go. Yeah, I'd probably go back to just a more squared off flame actually, and kind of maintain that. Have I got it over? Here we go. Let's... Yeah, because that's a really nice mark that is, with the kettlebell in the flame. But I would just... Ba-dunk. Pop it there, shrink it down, and then plonk. Yeah, so it's sort of like what I was saying earlier. It's having the rounded corners and mixing that with the square edges on the text. Like, is it right or wrong? There's going to be a lot of different opinions on there. But what I would do if it was me personally is I would look at it and I would see one with the rounded corners on the flame. I'd see the square edges on the text, and I'd go, would this design work if they both had squared off corners, or if they both had rounded corners, i.e. if they were both treated very similarly stylistically? Would it still look great? And if the answer is yes, then it's kind of like, well, like in this example, you may as well just give them both hard edges, because it kind of works. And I suppose if you did want to introduce a second color, you can do. And then you could fill that color with black as well if you wanted to. But I'd probably leave it like that, to be honest. And then the whole thing works in 1 color print as well. And 1 color print is usually a lot cheaper, so a lot of companies will print certain parts of stationery, like their headed paper or compliment slips, in 1 color, because it just saves a heck of a lot of money. Gotta go. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thank you, Quinton. Great to have you here, man. Excited to see how the flaming kettlebell turns out. Well, I think we're nearly there. I really want to see that kettlebell hit the bottom fully too. So it's more negative space effect. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, version 1, version 2. Let's go inside. Double click again to go inside. Oops. Oh, yes, I see what you're saying there. I don't know why I suddenly went very strong Somerset accent then. Oh, you see what you're saying there, I do. Ho ho! Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, why would you not? Why would you not do that? Definitely. Yes. I think the kettlebell, you could square off those edges. You could. These ones here. Some of it you'd need to be rounded because kettlebells, they are that kind of shape. Oh, yeah, no, I like that. I like that as well. And I suppose you could move the position of the kettlebell. If you continue the fire, that curve of the fire, you could kind of bring those 2 points together if you wanted them a bit closer. But I don't know. I think that looks kind of cool. What do you guys think? You like that, Mike? There's nothing related to fitness here. The kettlebell. The kettlebell is very fitness related. And then we've got the brand, which is called Ignition. Probably worth remembering that. That's where the flame came from. So Ignition, fitness and sports. Yeah, that works. I mean, I got to be honest, I don't mind the difference between the italic text and the non-italic flame. It's really not bothering me that much. But I think it's interesting, isn't it? So let's just look at where we started. Let's do one of those where it started, how it's going kind of things. Let's get some get a big block of white. There we go. White. This is fun, and this is why I love doing these kind of sort of impromptu redesigns, because, you know, it's fun for me, but then, you know, you guys have so many opinions as well, and we kind of just collectively combine our experience. And actually, in not very long at all, we can usually make something look, I think it's fair to say, you know, better or improve on it in certain ways. So that's their current logo. This is Kyle's redesign after driving by and being very polite about how it was kind of hard to read. And yeah, I think the general consensus was this was great, but we felt it was a bit too playful. Perhaps more suited to like a child's part of the gym with the font. And this is kind of where we ended up playing around, which I think does look, you know, it's, you know, it could use some work, but I think it looks a bit more mature. And I think the I hate the phrase like it looks more dynamic, but it does. It looks like it has a bit more movement. It looks more sporty with that italicized font as well. But yeah, this is fun. This is really fun. I like doing this. I'll save that just for fun. Oh, bro, brilliant. Right, what's that? That's 4:30 now. Oh, fantastic. So I think that's going to do it for today. I've got plenty more up next week. On Thursday is Dansky Live, so we'll be doing something much more educational. It might be generative fill related again. If that's what, maybe I'll do a poll on the channel later. I had a lot of fun with the generative fill, and I think there's, you know, there's actually quite a bit I could teach about generative fill that isn't just me being an idiot and having fun. Or we could do some After Effects to mix it up, do a bit of beginner After Effects stuff. So I don't know, I'll throw a poll out later on and see what people want to do. Either of those two would be fun for me. So feel like the aesthetic of the kettlebell doesn't mesh well with the flame, but much better for sure. Yeah, I think it probably needs a bit more work. Yeah, maybe some more squared off edges. I don't know, but yeah, it's been good fun. Oh, right. Amazing, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on Thursday. Oh, that's a nice rhyme, wasn't it? See you later.